When you finally realize that sometimes good enough is better than perfect. Is Ryan Weathers a safety net that lets Brian Cashman actually breathe? You know what's interesting about this Ryan Weathers trade? It's not flashy. It's not the kind of move that makes headlines or gets people excited. It's the kind of move that smart general managers make when they understand that sometimes the best decision isn't the sexiest one. It's the one that gives you options. Tuesday, January 21st, 2026. The details of the Weathers trade are finally out, and they tell a much more interesting story than we initially thought. The Yankees sent Dylan Lewis, the organization's number 8 prospect who had a 20-homer season in the minors and 51 stolen bases, and Brendan Jones to Miami. That's depth. That's organizational talent. But it's not the elite, franchise-altering prospects that everyone was worried about. And that's the key insight here. Brian Cashman preserved his top assets while solving an immediate problem. Think about what could have happened instead. If the Yankees had gone all in on Freddie Peralta, they would have had to include Luis Gil or Warren as the major lead piece, plus Spencer Jones or Jason Dominguez as the elite prospect. That would have gutted the farm system and committed massive resources to one pitcher. If they'd pursued Edward Cabrera, they would have overpaid because the Cubs were also interested. But with Ryan Weathers, Cashman found a young arm with upside, the 7th overall pick in the 2018 draft, and acquired him from mid-level prospects. That's asset management. That's thinking 3 moves ahead on the chessboard. Ryan Weathers is only 26 years old. He's got 3 years of team control. And here's what the report reveals about his actual performance. Over the past 2 years in Miami, he posted a 3.74 ERA with 117 strikeouts. His fastball sits at 97 miles per hour. Yes, he's dealt with forearm and finger injuries, which aligns with your memories about being cautious about acquiring injury-prone pitchers. But he's not a reclamation project. He's a young pitcher with legitimate stuff who's been dealing with some bad luck and some health issues. And here's where Matt Blake, the Yankees pitching coach, comes in. The organization has a track record of developing pitchers. Clay Holmes was a disaster in Pittsburgh before becoming elite in New York. Luke Weaver had injury concerns before becoming a solid contributor. The Yankees pitching lab has proven it can unlock potential in arms that other teams have given up on. So the bet on Ryan Weathers isn't crazy. It's calculated. It's saying, we think this guy can be a solid mid-rotation starter if we can keep him healthy and refine his mechanics. But let's be honest about what the rotation actually looks like right now. Max Fried is the ace, and he's a legitimate one. But after that, Weathers, Cam Schlittler, Will Warren, and Luis Gil. That's an extremely young and inexperienced rotation for a team that's supposed to be competing for a World Series. Schlittler is a sophomore. Warren is unproven. Gil had a disappointing 2025 with injuries and command issues. And Weathers just came off an injury-plagued season. This is not a championship rotation. This is a rotation that's hoping to survive until Garrett Cole and Carlos Rodon come back from injury. And that's exactly why the Freddie Peralta rumors are still alive. Weathers is the floor, the safety net that ensures you have enough arms to get through April and May. Peralta would be the ceiling, the ace that transforms his rotation from hoping to survive to legitimate contender. But here's what's brilliant about Cashman's strategy. By acquiring Weathers, he's bought himself flexibility. He doesn't have to panic about the rotation anymore. He doesn't have to force Cole back before he's ready. He doesn't have to make a desperate move that costs him his top prospects. He can now negotiate for Freddie Peralta from a position of strength rather than desperation. Think about the difference in leverage. If the Yankees had no depth in the rotation and were desperate for arms, Milwaukee would know it. They demand Spencer Jones or Jason Dominguez. They demand Luis Gil plus multiple top prospects. But now, with Ryan Weathers in the fold, Cashman can say, we have a functional rotation. If you want to trade Freddie Peralta, great. But we're not going to overpay because we have options. That's the real value of this trade. It's not about Weathers being a star. He might not be. It's about giving yourself the flexibility to make better decisions in other areas. It's about not being forced into a bad deal because you're desperate. And this ties directly into the Cody Bellinger situation. With Weathers acquired and the rotation stabilized, Cashman can hold firm on his $160 million, 5-year offer with opt-outs. He's not desperate to add Bellinger because he's already addressed the rotation. If Bellinger walks to the Mets, the Yankees can pivot to Freddie Peralta without feeling like they're sacrificing everything. If Bellinger signs, great, you've got an elite outfielder at a reasonable price. Either way, the Yankees are in a better position than they were before the Weathers trade. Now, I understand your concerns about injury-prone pitchers based on your memories. Weathers' injury history is real. Forearm strain, finger issues, lap problems. These are legitimate red flags. But the difference between Weathers and some of the other injury-prone pitchers out there is that Weathers has shown he can be productive when healthy. His 3.74 ERA and 117 strikeouts over 2 years aren't elite, but they're solid. They're the kind of numbers you can build a rotation around if he stays on the field. And at $1.35 million in salary, the financial risk is minimal. The prospect cost, Dylan Lewis and Brendan Jones, is real, but it's not the kind of cost that destroys the organization. These are good prospects, but they're not the untouchable elite talents like Spencer Jones or Jason Dominguez. So here's what I think is actually happening. Brian Cashman has finally found his rhythm. He's not panicking anymore. He's not making desperate moves. He's being strategic. He acquired Ryan Weathers to stabilize a rotation. He made a disciplined offer to Cody Bellinger and said, "That's our price. Take it or leave it." And now he's in a position where he can pursue Freddie Peralta from a place of strength rather than desperation. The legacy of David Weathers, the 1996 World Series champion, continues in the Bronx with his son. That's a nice narrative. But the real story is about asset management and strategic thinking. Cashman finally seems to be playing chess instead of checkers. What do you think? Is Ryan Weathers the right move to stabilize the rotation, or should the Yankees have been more aggressive in pursuing Freddie Peralta? And does this trade actually give Cashman the flexibility he needs to negotiate better deals for Bellinger and potentially Peralta? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and smash that like button if you appreciate Brian Cashman finally making some smart, calculated moves instead of panicking. Because right now, it feels like the Yankees are actually building a coherent strategy instead of just reacting to crisis after crisis.